David in Istanbul. Right now we're in front of the presidential Dolmabahce office. This location, it was full of security today because a very significant meeting took place here, significant for the Ukraine conflict. Now, delegations of both Russia and Ukraine were present today. They held a very important meeting right behind these closed doors. This area was packed with media the whole day through, back-to-back live crosses by international press members and local press members as well. We are seeing some of them still behind us. So there was a lot of coverage for this event because people believe that it does carry some significance. Finally, I can give some good news from this event because there was finally some progress that's been made. First of all, several rounds before had failed. There were rounds of talks in Belarus that have failed. After that, there were also a round of talks in the Turkish town of Antalya, where the foreign ministers of Russia and Ukraine had come together for talks mediated by Turkish Foreign Minister Mevlut Çavuşoğlu. No progress was made there as well. But finally today, after talks here, they did have some progress. They did have some good news to announce after the meetings. Now, let me take you back first to before the meetings. Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan addressed the crowd of the delegations before the meeting began. He first of all he called for an immediate ceasefire. He's been urging both sides to once again push for diplomacy. This has been Turkey's stance for quite a while. They've been trying to push for diplomacy. He stated that stopping this tragedy is up to the both sides. So this was his message to the delegations before the meetings began. He also emphasized that now is the time to reach a point where they yield concrete results. This is a time for concrete results. That's what Erdogan told the members of the delegations who were going to negotiate during the talks here in Istanbul. Now, following the meeting, there was a statement made by the Ukrainian delegation, but also a statement made by Turkey's Foreign Minister Mevlut Çavuşoğlu. Now, the aim was going to be to hold 2 days of talks in Turkey today and tomorrow. But following the meetings today, they said they concluded the meetings. They are not going to continue tomorrow. But Mevlut Çavuşoğlu said the meeting was fruitful. After the meeting, he said that the agreement and understanding on some topics had been achieved and that the progress that was made here was the most significant of the negotiations since any negotiations began. Now, during the talks, very important development was made regarding security. Now, Ukraine has proposed a new security system. Today, they have stated that they would adopt a neutral status. This is very significant. It would mean that Ukraine would not join any military alliances and they would not host the bases of foreign troops. But it would have to have security guaranteed by guarantor states. Let's go back a little bit. First of all, not joining military alliances. This is very significant because this is one of the main concerns of Russia in terms of security in the region, in terms of NATO. So also not hosting any bases of foreign troops. This is also one of the main concerns for Russia. So these are some guarantees that Ukraine is going to be providing for Moscow. Now, regarding the security that's going to be provided for Ukraine, they have identified some countries that would be able to provide the security. And among them, Turkey is on the list. Turkey, alongside Israel, Canada, and Poland, are these countries that have been identified that could take on this role of being guarantor states. Now, Turkey is already experienced when it comes to being a guarantor state. Turkey is one of those guarantor states in Syria, in the Syrian conflict, alongside Russia. So Turkey and Moscow, they've really been cooperating, even though they've been on the opposite sides of the conflict in Syria. They do trust each other. They've been able to cooperate. So that's very significant there. The fact that Turkey can be trusted by Moscow. And in this situation, it can be trusted by Ukraine as well. So Turkey, in that sense, finds itself in a powerful position to take on that role that Turkey would really want. Now, going back to some of more of the details regarding the conclusions of the deal that's been made today. It's not a deal yet, let me point that out. So far, it's only a proposal. According to this proposal, Ukraine would also include a 15-year consultation period on the status of Russia-annexed Crimea. So this is also one of the challenging topics, the status of Crimea for Russia and Ukraine as well. So they have proposed what to do with that situation. Following the talks, a very important message from Russia regarding the fighting that's been going on. the Russian Deputy Defense Minister has announced that Russia has decided to scale down fighting near Kiev and Chernihiv in order to create conditions for dialogue. So this is a very important signal that the two sides are willing to create an atmosphere to actually move forward, to create dialogue, to push for diplomacy in order to actually scale down fighting and create some atmosphere where they can actually talk, and that will pave the way for a ceasefire potentially. So this is very significant. And when we're talking about guarantor states, in order for a country to be guarantor, that country, first of all, there needs to be a prerequisite. There needs to be a ceasefire so that the country is going to provide guarantees for security, needs to be abiding and making sure that both countries are abiding by these ceasefire rules. They're not violating any of the rules, so that they will be monitoring the situation. That's what a guarantor state would mean. Well, that would have the responsibility of doing. So that's going to be very significant if Turkey does take on that role. Now, when we're talking about the significance for Turkey, first of all, Turkey really does want to take on that role, not just of a guarantor state, but also it's been pushing to mediate. It's been really pushing for diplomacy and to have that global, powerful stance. This is what Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan really wants. He wants to appear powerful in the region, and being a mediator in such a global conflict right now that's created a global impact. When we're talking about Ukraine at the moment, being a mediator there is something that Erdogan wants. So hosting these talks were also something positive for the Turkish government, and they have emphasized once and over again. They've stated that these talks could pave the way for eventually talks to take place between the Russian and Ukrainian presidents, and Turkey wants to host those talks as well. So this is something that Erdogan has been pushing for. And during the talk today, when he addressed the crowds, when he addressed the delegation, Erdogan once again said that he mentioned that he's having phone conversations with the presidents of Russia and Ukraine, that he's getting messages that there are being positive developments in these messages that during his phone conversation. So he's actually giving the message that he's been trusted with information both by Russia and by Ukraine. So this is something that Turkey wants. And Turkey also really finds itself in a very unique position. Now, yes, it's being trusted by these two countries, but there is also a reason for it. Turkey is a strong ally for both countries. It has economic deals, it has defense deals with both countries, and especially when we're talking about Turkey and Russia. Russia basically is very dependent on Russia. Turkey imports about a little bit over 40% of its gas from Russia, so it's very dependent on Russia when it comes to energy, and this is also for electricity as well. So really Turkey has been trying to maintain strong and positive ties with both countries during this whole conflict since the fighting began in February. Turkey is also, it has strong defense deals, as I mentioned, with Russia. For example, it has purchased an S-400 missile defense system from Russia, so billion-dollar deal, very important. Even though the United States has been very much against this deal, Turkey has stuck to it. Turkey has stuck by Russia's side and continued to purchase that missile defense system. On the other hand, Turkey has also been selling sophisticated drones to Ukraine, which has actually been used during the conflict at this moment. So Turkey does have a very unique position, as it has a very strong alliance with both countries that it wants to maintain. And so far it has been able to do so. It has maintained these strong ties because Turkey has chosen not to impose sanctions on Russia. This has been very critical for Turkey. Ankara has stressed once and over again that it will not impose sanctions that has been imposed by the EU or by the United States, by NATO members. Turkey has taken a different tone, and by doing so, it has created a different kind of trust with Russian President Vladimir Putin between Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan. And to give you one more reason why Turkey has a unique position, according to the 1936 Montreux Pact, Turkey is also in a position to control the Dardanelles and the Bosphorus Straits during wartime, or if it feels threatened, which means that during this time, once Turkey began using the term war for the fighting that's taking place in Ukraine, it had the control of the straits, and therefore it had the power to shut down the straits, which it did. So that also gave a lot of power and a very unique position for Turkey in that sense. So really, basically, that summarizes the situation for Turkey's stance at the moment and the latest developments that we've had during the talks that took place here in Turkey. It's going to be significant to see how the talks continue from now on. The Ukrainian delegation has also mentioned that talks would take place in 2 weeks from now. We don't know where that will take place. Turkey is going to want to host, again, another round of talks here. They're going to emphasize that progress was made here, let's continue the efforts here, and eventually maybe Turkey, as Erdogan has been pushing, might be able to host the presidents, which is of course much in the distance right now, as the Kremlin has stated that there is no need to discuss that at the moment. It's not in the horizon at the moment, but if progress continues to be made, we can see optimism continue, and that could happen eventually. For now, in the short term, one of the most biggest priorities, humanitarian corridor to be established, a ceasefire to be established, and evacuation according to Ukraine. So we do have some short-term goals, but we do see that potentially they could create a new security system, as Ukraine has proposed during the meetings here in Istanbul today. So at least some good news from the round of talks. We'll keep reporting and keep you posted on how the development continues regarding diplomacy and talks for Ukraine. Thank you very much for joining us.